Bonnie. And I don't know if there's any sort of ER services available, but I just want to say a few words before I introduce Robert. Yes, I'm the CEO of the DC Association. We've done a lot of stuff in the last couple of years, and I am thrilled that I feel that we are starting to get some momentum. The person that Bonnie was talking about, as many of you know, was Mr. Graham, the father, well, I will say that, the father of TOPA, the grandfather of sort of rent control issues. You all know what that means to what it is for our home ownership issues. So we are happy to see, we'll see Ms. Nadeau. Hopefully on Tuesday, after the election on Tuesday, she'll be the Ward 1 council member. But tonight is about the at-large council member. I want to talk about that because as I mentioned, we're getting some momentum. A lot of times, we've had a council for a very long time who sees real estate as a piggy bank and somehow not in touch with the community. I would proffer to you that we are the most in touch association in the entire District of Columbia. We are in touch because you are in every single neighborhood in the District of Columbia. You go in and out of houses and homes of people who are invested in the city, and you help to get them to invest even further in the city. You have them in the palm of your hands. Well, I shouldn't say that. You work with them. You work with them in some of their most vulnerable, important moments in their life. And you bring them to the city, and you keep them in the city, and you're an important part of the city, and don't ever forget that. That being said, we feel we have a place in sort of the civic life. So that, as our goal as an association is to advocate for those who care about the District of Columbia. We did not take a position, we're happy to talk with you offline why, in the mayor's race for a variety of reasons. But we felt strongly about the at-large race. The at-large race has a candidate that is above and beyond the other 14? The other 14 in the race. We also hope we can help you, educate you a little bit about this race, because I know it's easy when there are 14 people and gosh knows how many robocalls and how many pieces of mailing. But you have something special here in Robert White, who I'm about to introduce. Robert has been endorsed by the Northwest Current, the Washington Post, by us, and Greater Washington just today. So that is about as cross-section as you're going to get. I will turn over to Robert for the details, but when you vote, if you haven't voted yet, if you voted already, hopefully it was for Robert. If you're going to early vote before the end of the weekend, vote Robert. And on Tuesday, vote Robert. He is the at-large candidate. I will make one last comment. A lot of folks sometimes get a little like, oh, what's going on with the district? It's just the same old, same old. Our civic life is catching up to where all the changes you're seeing in this restaurant and in the neighborhoods. The civic life changes when you vote, and when you vote for people like Robert White. So let's give it up for our at-large endorsed candidate, Mr. Robert White. No. Should I?
Well, I appreciate y'all just giving me a few minutes of your time. I am so honored to have the endorsement of the real estate community, because we have so many shared interests. What a lot of folks don't understand when they run for office, a lot of people will run for office and have tremendous intentions, but don't understand the importance of harnessing market realities and creating partnerships. Because you guys, just as much as me, care about the strength of our schools. You understand that if we want more housing options, we have to build more housing. That if we want to do something about the rental prices in DC, that we have to open up development in places and parcels that we've been sitting on for many years, but there has to be muscle from the council. The way that we get to the deep issues of our society, of our city, is building partnerships. A partnership between the Wilson Building and the private sector to make sure that we are helping everybody in our city. You all have a hard time selling houses where the schools are bad, so guess what? You are my partners in improving schools. You all understand that we are wasting space at Hill East, at Poplar Point, at Walter Reed, that could be put to such good use. Whether you do commercial real estate or residential, we need to push that development there. There are so many people in this city, the young, the old, the new, the long time, who are really trying to get their footing or keep their footing in this city. And we have to have people on the council who understand that. I take this from a very personal point of view of somebody whose father has been priced out of the city. I'm a 5th generation Washingtonian, but I'm determined to make sure there is a place for my father in this city. But beyond good intentions, I have the experience. I'm an attorney. I was Congresswoman Norton's legislative counsel for many years. I handled her economic development portfolio, transportation, infrastructure, DC statehood. So when you turned on the TV and watched these congressional hearings on DC matters, I generally was one of the folks planning that hearing. The legislation that pushed forward to open up the wharf development project, I worked on that legislation. The yards, there's so many examples of what you can do when you have strong partnerships. Well, when I get on the council, you're going to have a very strong partner who is going to talk to you as I develop legislation so that we understand the unintended consequences, so that we make sure we get to our shared goals. As was mentioned, there are 14 other people running for this seat. Nobody has the momentum we have because we built it. We've knocked on 20,000 doors in this race. We have 3 sitting council members behind me, several media outlets, but at the end of the day, we need votes. So if you live in DC, I do hope that you will vote for me in the at-large race. If you don't live in DC, then I know that you know someone who lives in DC, and I hope you will spread the word. But the last thing, we are in the last 6 days, which is why I'm losing my voice. We're in the last 6 days. Tremendously important. We are prepared to have a presence at every single precinct, 143 precincts. We're not done knocking on doors. We're not done shoving things in your mailboxes. So we continue to need help to make sure that we finish this race just as strong as we started. So I do hope that you will consider making a contribution to the campaign as well, and also taking a yard sign so your neighbors can see where your vote is. You can talk to my finance chair, James.
Hi, James.
Hello. And he is not shy.
No.
Or my campaign manager, Matokafa. But as you know, there are only 13 members of our council, looking out for the interests of 650,000 people in this city. And with such a small council, every single chair, every single member changes the trajectory of our city for years to come. So we have to make sure we have a good person. If you see a good candidate in me, and I hope you do, I hope you'll get behind me. So I appreciate your time. I really appreciate your support. And I'm here to talk to you some more, but I will have a drink in my hand as I do it.
Last